And then got it.
Any second. Done. Should be live any second. Here we go. So I got a message that we're live streaming. Do you see it?
Yes.
All right. So we are live, folks. Hi, it's me, Linda Marcus Smith. This is episode 966 of the Comic Spot interviews that you can find on my YouTube, which is called Comedian Linda Marcus Smith. Yeah, how was that for difficult? I started doing these interviews so that I could interview other people. But Julz has come to the Las Vegas comedy scene. She's here, she's from Vegas. She's doing comedy now. And she and I bonded. And she agreed to interview me. So, hey, you guys are so lucky today because we're flipping the script. I interviewed her not very long ago. And she's been on stage about 20 times. And she's doing a great job. Oh my gosh, you don't have any idea what she did last night when she was on stage. She changed up her material when she didn't think it was working. Do you know how long it took me to do that? I still don't really do it. Okay, so, you got a real star coming here with Julz Barnes, you guys. So keep your eye out for Julz Barnes. But today she's wearing a different hat. She's going to grill me up one side, down the other about my Meshuggah life. She's going to ask questions. I'm going to answer them. And hopefully I'll come up with some new jokes out of this because, I can't help it. I'm a little selfish. You can only give so much. After a while, you want to get something. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So this is episode 966, YouTube comedian Linda Marcus Smith. You better click subscribe, make some comments, tell me I'm wonderful or something, or at least the people I interview are wonderful. There's so many there for you to watch. Get out there and watch them, you guys. I'm just messing with you. Thanks for watching. Now, I'm turning the floor over to my comedy friend and my friend in real life, Julz Barnes. Let's give it up for her. Woo! Julz, you're on.
Well, hey, thank you, my dear. Beautiful, beautiful. You're so amazing.
Thank you.
I am very honored and gracious to be chosen to interview this amazing comedian woman. Linda is stealth. She's an amazing woman. She's excited to tell her journey on her way to stardom as a comedian. She's very funny. She knows how to engulf the crowd. Fire them up. Very innovative, one of a kind. And I, again, feel very blessed and gracious to be able to interview this amazing, lovely stealth woman, Linda Marcus Smith. Yeah. So, folks, yay, let's give her a hand and sit down and enjoy. All right, Linda.
Thank you, Julz. I can't wait to hear what you're going to do to me.
Well, I'm just going to start off with, where you started from, where you were raised, where you went to school, the activities that you had at school, the things that got you into comedy, and your journey. Just tell us all about your journey.
Okay. Well, it started long ago in a time most millennials don't even think existed. I was born in 1951 to be exact, in Portland, Oregon. And I grew up feeling like I was never wanted. Isn't that a great way to start? No. Give it up for that. Yeah. My parents, they survived the Holocaust. It's true. And they came to America very scarred, very traumatized. And they had two goals, to have a boy and have a girl. They had my older sister, and then my mother got pregnant before there was this thing called sonograms. She didn't know she was having twins, is what I'm saying. She was having a girl and a boy. I was the extra. I was the +1 of they had 3 children now. They wanted 2. They only wanted a boy and a girl. So what did that mean? I made that mean that I was not wanted. And that's how I ruled my life until I was about 55 or 60. I was angry. I was not a good sister. I was not a good child. I was a rebel, So I know what living life on the other side, being angry and feeling like, you were never wanted, will make you act a certain way and act out and not appreciate your family. And that's what I did. But I always had, Julz, a sense of humor, like that was my way to cope with not feeling wanted. And so I would always look for the funny in everything, And I remember my parents survived the Holocaust, and then they found alcohol. Some people find religion. They were Jewish. No, they found alcohol. They found, oh, did they find alcohol? And so they started having alcohol things in our home, like fights. Oh my gosh. And I remember them always fighting. And I was always trying to inject humor to get them to quit fighting. And so I remember my very first time I used humor to distract my parents from killing each other. I put you remember those glass balls they called marbles? We used to have this thing back in the 50s, this little glass balls, and they were called marbles. Most people would use them for games, not me. I used them to distract my parents from killing each other. They were fighting, and I put the marbles on my head, and I let them roll onto the floor, and my parents stopped dead in their tracks, looked at these marbles, and I said, see what you guys are doing? You're making me lose my marbles. It was my first joke.
That's great.
So then I was a practical joker. I can't help it. It's just born in me. So me and Marla Mann Miller, she and I met her in second grade. We had so much in common, well, except for religion. I was Jewish, she was Mormon, but we were besties, right? And we pulled pranks. Oh, did we pull pranks? And then Barry Bridgman came along, and she and I pulled pranks. I pulled pranks in college. I pulled pranks in the military. I'm a prank puller, right? And as you get older, you learn sometimes pranks hurt people's feelings, and sometimes you're doing it mean-spirited, You have to make your pranks more evolved, or else you get canceled, not invited to birthday parties, that kind of thing. I was a funny person to hang out growing up with, but when I started doing pranks on people, and I always wanted everybody in grade school and high school and college to love me, make up for me not being wanted. You have to love me. I'll be anything you want me to be, so you'll love me. I was the biggest chameleon on the planet. I had no backbone. I would do and say and lie about everything, just to, whatever you wanted me to be or say, that's what I was, so you would like me. I wasn't a good person because I so badly needed to be loved, or so I thought. After my mom passed away, that was in 2002, I found out I was really wanted, and it wasn't true. But I'd been told by my dad I wasn't wanted. So now she's gone, and I don't have any way of telling her I'm so sorry, but I was living the truth that I thought was the truth, because my dad told me my mom never wanted me. So I was acting out a lot. And if I'd have been wanted, I might not have a wacky sense of humor, because that came out of a lot of pain. Also, you need to know that when I was growing up, I really wasn't Jewish. I say I'm Jewish, but I'm not really Jewish because my mother wasn't Jewish. Her dad was Jewish. There's this whole thing, like mathematically, if my grandparents and grandparents, 3/4 of them are really Jewish. Rabbinically, I'm a goose egg. I am not Jewish to a rabbi, a normal rabbi, nah, you're not Jewish. So I was Jewish to my dad, but to my mother, She didn't really care. Let me just tell you, growing up was painful. I really didn't feel wanted at home. I didn't feel wanted celebrating, a God. I'd go to synagogue, they didn't want me. I'd go to church, they certainly didn't want me. They're like, go back to synagogue where you belong. So then I fast forward. This is just about me growing up. Fast forward with all this baggage. What do I decide to do? Raise a kid, right? That's what you do when you have all your problems are all dealt with and you're so mature at 23. You raise a kid, and I spoiled her rotten because I wanted her to love me. I didn't want to say no. I wanted to give her everything she wanted. And she hasn't spoken 8 years, and tomorrow's her birthday. So, okay, I didn't kill myself. I started doing comedy. That's how I got into comedy, Julz. So that, in a nutshell, is me and my family and in school and why I got into comedy.
Right. Very interesting story.
Thank you.
So tell me, where all have you performed? Tell us where you performed and where you started first, and the journey of your comedic career, where you started and where you're at now and where you're going.
Okay, thank you. So my very first time that I did comedy was in Murrieta, California, at a club that no longer exists. I outlived a comedy club. Can you believe that? Yeah, it was called Aces Comedy Club in Murrieta. Rocky Osborne still does comedy in the Inland Empire, and he's the man that saved my life, because March 13, 2014, I called the club. My daughter and I were going our separate ways and not going to be in each other's lives for about a year because things got very ugly. And I called him and I said, I don't really want to live without my daughter, but if I can learn comedy, and I mean today, I won't kill myself. Life will be worth living. And he got me in that day at 2:00. At 6:00, I was on his open mic. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. I remember 2 guys in the front row were comics, and I delivered my first couple jokes, and I overheard them say to each other, that is so hack. Meaning that they'd heard what I said, or another comic had done it in the past, and I was mortified. But that was so good to hear, because any criticism that you get, you don't have to believe it or act on it, but you deserve it to yourself to be the best version of yourself when you're receiving information. We doubt, are they jealous and saying that to just get you to quit comedy, or are they saying something that you should make a tweak and change? I got to thinking, well, maybe I should study comedy so I know if I'm saying something hack. So now when I write a joke, I do research on that topic. So like if I write a joke about like a cell phone joke, well, if I go make something up, it might be something that somebody else has already said. So you can actually research and make sure your joke is unique. So I thought that was cool to learn in California. So I remember the first time at that 6:00 mic, they go, okay, you're going to be on the mic at 6. And I go, okay, I've got my paperwork, I'm reading it. And we were standing in line. Both my parents had passed away. This was 2014. Both my parents were gone. And I remember standing in line, and you know how you talk to people whenever you're in line? There's a guy ahead of me and a guy behind me. It's all guys and me. And so I said to this guy ahead of me, I said, so what do you do besides comedy? And he said, I'm a psychic medium. And I said, oh, wow. All right. Well, so who do you see around me? What are you picking up? And he said, your dad. And I said, wow, what's he saying? Does he say he's proud of you? I said, wow. And my mom, he goes, yeah, she refuses to talk. And that's how I knew he really was a psychic medium. That should have been my first joke on stage, but I never have said that on stage. So I got some laughs, and then what happened at that in California? I'll go on to other places, but then what happened in California was like the worst mistake anybody can possibly make when they're new in comedy. Are you ready for this? So I'm so good at mistakes. So I have a love for military people. I was in the military. So somehow I found out that there was a group of people in Temecula, California, just south of Murrieta, that were military wives and husbands. And they were having a military ball on a Friday night. And I thought, how cool would it be if they all came to the club, filled the club? Maybe the club would let me do some comedy. I filled the club with military people. They were dressed in their dress blues and prom gowns and all that, hair done up. So I barely know how to perform comedy, and they fill the place. So of course the club lets me do a token guest spot. And I remember taking too long to get into my jokes. Kind of, you know what hemming and hawing is? Like blah, 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 let me just say this, and then I'll get into my jokes. And when you do that, when like you go, hey, so how's everybody doing tonight? You know, I'm so glad to be here. Somebody in the audience that's had one too many drinks is going to pipe up and say, when's the comedy going to start? So here I am, brand new, hemming and hawing like you do when you're new. And this lady that was with the group belts out really loud, when's the comedy going to start? And I didn't know how to react to a heckler. I barely knew how to do my jokes. I deserved to be heckled, right? I didn't know enough. I hadn't been prepared. But so this is how I handled it. I didn't know what else to say. And what came to my mind was, ma'am, that is so rude. Do you see? And I'm looking out at the big auditorium and I see exit sign, exit sign. I'm thinking, that's like an airplane. So I said, that is so rude. In the back of the auditorium, you will see 2 exit signs. Pick one. What the hell? What is no way to handle a heckler? So I called my coach the next day and I said, I had Jerry Corley as a coach. He's kind of a famous comedy coach. I called him up. I said, blah, 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 blah. He goes, what did you say? And I told him, and he goes, well, what were you thinking in the moment? Like what you said might be different than what you were thinking. So I said, I was thinking, I expected white drunk heckler, but I did not expect white drunk big heckler bitch. And he says, that's what you should have said, what you're thinking. I thought, lesson number 2. And so I stayed there a year because I had given my daughter a year for us both to go get some psychological help to come back and try to have a relationship. In that year, she didn't come back. So I thought, screw California. I'm going back home to my hometown, Portland, Oregon, because I love Portland, Oregon. Yeah. How did that go? Not well. The young people could give a crap about anything that ever came out of my mouth. I literally had to do sit-ups. I did all kinds of, the practical jokes I used to do in college. I took them to the stage. Oh, you're not going to listen? I'll show you how to listen. I would do sit-ups for 5 minutes at Kelly's Olympian mic just to get the young people to go, well, maybe I'll listen. I did. And then another thing I did is I'm a dumpster diver. I haven't not revealed this to you before, Julz, but I used to love to jump into dumpsters at big box stores and drag out things that they're throwing out and bring it home and use it. I've gotten thousands of dollars. I've decorated whole apartments thanks to Bed Bath and Beyond, Michael's, Best Buy, and Pier 1. Shout out to Pier 1. You guys are the dopest. You don't know what. You will throw out anything out of us. Do you know, when I buy things, give it a week. They're going to have a crack in them anyway. So I might as well get them out of your dumpster, So anyway, I brought all my shenanigans to the stage. And, like if people didn't want to listen to me when I'm doing my comedy, I'd find ways. And since I'm a dumpster diver, I would find the coolest shit in the dumpsters and I would give it away at the end of my comedy sets. I'd say, okay, so I remember doing this at Funhouse in Portland. Sean Connery, not the actor, but there's a comedian, Sean Connery in Portland. I remember saying, Sean, that's been my set, but I have a trivia question. So for those of you that were paying attention, anybody, the first person to get it right gets this gift. I would find the coolest stuff in dumpsters, like a brass belt buckle. Who doesn't want a brass belt buckle in Portland, Oregon? I mean, name one barista that's not going to wear a brass belt buckle. So I would do a trivia question about my comedy set. They'd pay attention just to get something I got out of a dumpster. That's how my comedy went for it. Oh my God, it was horrible. So I came on a visit. There's this guy named Stephen Pearl here in Vegas. And he said, hey, I'm having a birthday in October. Why don't you come? This was 2019. He says, why don't you come to my birthday party? And I thought, well, why don't I? So I got a plane ticket and I came, and the party was in the green room at the Laugh Factory. I'm like, what's the little girl, the little half Jew from Portland doing in the green room at the Laugh? I'm an open micer, and once in a while a guest spot. I'm back there with all these comics, men and women, my age, heterosexual, which was not the case in Portland. No judgment. I'm just saying I'm available. There was nobody there that was a fit. And I came here, they're all around my age. They're all heterosexual. I thought, why am I wasting my time in Portland, Oregon? So I went back home, packed my bags, gave notice, and moved to Vegas. And I got here just in time. It's very important to be on time. I got here just in time for COVID. Yeah, shut down. Yeah. So that's all I had to say about that. What's your next question, Julz?
Well, where else have you performed?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
yes.
Okay. So I've done a number of stints. I call them stints in New York. 2019, I lived there and I was a barker for Stand Up New York, and I was a barker for Greenwich Village Comedy Club. No, in 2019, I was a barker for Stand Up New York. I stand out in the freezing cold. They gave me a stack of tickets free, and I could sell them for up to $10 a piece. So I was making money selling tickets for the club outside. And I wanted to work my way to have the courage to go on stage, but I never did. And I applied for a job and I got hired at Caroline's to be a new talent promoter, big promoter. Oh yeah. And hey, we decided we want you. I talked my way into the job. I didn't know how to do the functions of the job. I just talked my way into it. They call it and my daughter got sick. So I had to turn down that job. So we traveled and blah, blah, blah. And I put comedy on hold. And then I'm in comedy, fast forward, and I'm in comedy, Temecula, and then Marietta, and then up in Portland. And I started posting in 2009. I started putting jokes on Facebook. I got so many likes for my jokes. I got a notification that I had 300,000 likes in 2009. Before things went viral, my shit was going viral. I was too social for social media. One day I posted 82 jokes. And I only know that so the more depressed I am, the more jokes I write. And I was really depressed about my daughter, and I wrote 82 jokes. And I got a phone call. And this lady that's a 74-year-old comedian in Portland, Oregon, called me and said, did you know you wrote 82 jokes today? I said, no. And she said, I read them all. And I blocked you because I missed going to my doctor reading all your jokes. And I thought, I bet the doctor's happy you missed the appointment. I don't know what to do with that information. I'm sorry, but I write jokes when I'm depressed. So, you don't have to read them all, but they're all going to be there. You can guarantee yourself when I'm depressed, that's when I'm mega posting because it lifts my spirits. And I've had so many people tell me that they appreciate me posting all my crap. And I'm like, that's weird because my family has unfollowed me, blocked me. Like your family won't always support you in the way that strangers will. And that's okay. Like my family, my brother-in-law loves humor. My sister, she loves me. She tolerates the humor. She's like, yeah, let's go shopping. And so it's fine. But it's true. I do post way too much. And so when I got to 300,000 likes, New York called and they said, you're getting so many likes. Why don't you come to New York and do your comedy? So I went there and I went on stage and I met Gladys Simon at Comic Strip Live. She's kind of like a legendary teacher, coach type person at Comic Strip Live. I loved her and she loved me and she stayed with me all these years, helping to promote me and having my back. And so that's been really cool. So I've taken other trips back to New York to do, but the best one was August 3rd to 18th when I got to do like 20, 21 shows. I lost track in 2 weeks, which is half than average of people that live there. They can do twice that much. So it sounds like a lot to us here, but real New Yorkers that live there know you can do 3 or 4 shows a night if you work it right. So I didn't quite do that, but I was so happy what I got to do. So I've done comedy in California, Oregon, New York, and now Vegas. And I've also done military comedy where I go into a VA hospital. I've done it in Portland, Vancouver, Washington, and Manhattan. And I get myself somebody that'll let me do comedy on a regular basis. And they make a flyer and I get identification and I get screened and, I get a real card to wear when I go in. And I do an hour of comedy. Like I've got that, and so where are you from? And where did you serve? And try to make it funny. It was great for learning crowd work, but I've done that in 3 different states at VA locations. I've done comedy at battered women shelters, and that's cool. But I really love when I'm traveling to take the train and do comedy on the train there and back. And I love when I fly, Southwest Airlines will hand you the microphone and let you do a comedy set. They'll let you do 5 minutes. And then, but the problem is like that microphone at Southwest, I think it's so they don't stay on too long and get too long-winded, but it also applies to me. They give you about 30 to 45 seconds and it cuts out. So you'd be like, so I was born in Portland, all right, damn this thing. Not again. Oh God. It's not nice to mess with a woman who's trying to talk. What's with Southwest Airlines and their low budget microphones? Hope your planes are in better order. That's for sure. So that's where all I've performed.
Okay. And so of all the places you performed, which one was your favorite and where do you want to take your career now? What do you see in your future for where you're going to go and what you want to do?
Well, I have different places that I love for different reasons. So like we practiced a little bit earlier today with questioning and answering. And I said something different than I'm going to say now. Because like now, I don't think I gave the right answer. Anyway, so the truth of the matter is that my favorite place to perform is around hurting people. Like, I can't stand doing comedy for phonies. Like, if you're going to come to comedy wounded. Come with a need. I need to laugh. Do you know how shitty life has been? Then I can make you laugh. If you remind me of my broken parents surviving the Holocaust, staring at the window for days, and I got to make you laugh, then I can really, but if you're sitting there all entitled, fluffed up with gold and diamonds, like, I'm not that motivated to make you laugh. But anyway, I love doing comedy for military and veterans because I identify with them. I know you were a military wife to a Navy man. Thank you for that service that you provided. And so when I'm making the military and veterans laugh, I forgot to mention also, I've done these veteran stand downs. If anybody watching, go online and look up where these veterans, they have a national list of all the veteran stand downs. They tell you who to contact to do comedy at a veteran. Every single stand down needs a comic or a host. So you can get hosting, crowd work, comedy experience, get your name out there. So yeah, and if you can't find it online, write me and I'll send you the link. That's a great way. I've done those in California, Oregon, Washington, and New York. Yeah. So I've done some of those. They're super fun. And so many of the people, the veterans that go to the stand downs are homeless or, you know, with caseworkers, with difficult scenarios going on in their lives. Man, that's when, you know, like that's who I want to help hurting people, battered women, people, battered, sheltered people, people in nursing homes that have been, their relatives have never visited them, you know. That's where my passion is, to make hurting people laugh. Fortunately, the pandemic came along and now everybody's hurting. So sorry. It has actually been true that the pandemic has made everybody hurt because we're all part of it and we're all seeing everything play out right before our eyes. It's been traumatic for everybody. Which brings me to my next question. If that's the case, why did they say we're not essential workers? I don't get it.
Good point.
Fair point. Back to you, Julz.
Okay, so what you want, you just want to take your career to new heights and do more comedy for the people that are hurt, which is wonderful, because you're right, comedy does help. And if you can say, you know, if you can relate to people and then, wow, gosh, I thank you for giving me that touch on it, that twist on it, or something like that.
Yes, when they come up to you afterwards and say, you know, that joke that you did about comedy on the train and you do it in the disabled section because those people aren't going nowhere. You know, I have an aunt and, you know, one time somebody came down and entertained her. That meant so much. You know, like when you tell things about your real life and passion and somebody else comes and says, that meant so much to me, there's nothing more rewarding.
Exactly. Yes.
So where do I want to go with my life? My passion is to help other people achieve what they want to achieve in their life or in comedy. And I want to do comedy for the military and veterans on a bigger scale. I want to get hired by Armed Forces Entertainment, USO, Gary Sinise's foundation, Warriors for Patriots, Patriots for Warriors, you name it. Soldier suicide, I don't care. I want to be out there. I would live in a cardboard box attached to a luggage on wheels and just go from place to place to make veteran. Trust me, I will make one veteran under a bridge laugh at 2:00 on a hot afternoon. I've done it.
I can believe it because you are amazing. And is there some kind of contest you're going to be doing here pretty soon?
Yeah, but it's not made public yet.
Oh.
But I got reached out to by somebody that's got something going on that might happen. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you guys, you might be seeing me on national television. Who knows? Hey, Sarah, it either is or it isn't.
So what is your, like, if a comedian, a new starting up comedian comes to you and says, what was your biggest lesson, or what was your thing that really you could contribute? What was it that is your biggest, like, I don't know if it's accomplishment or that made you feel your best or whatever? What was the thing that, like, you know what I'm saying, just made you like embrace what you're doing even more than you already do?
I think my biggest accomplishment is my failures. Fortunately, I've had a lot of them. I mean, like, I'm 8 years and a half, March 13, 2004, 8.5 years in comedy. I just started getting funny in the last, I'll be kind to myself, in the last year. I'm very self-deprecating. I'm very real. So when I'm self-deprecating, it's because it's true. I'm not making this up. Can't make this up. Like, I have made so many failures on stage, in life and on stage, that the best things that have happened to me have come from not knowing what to do or not knowing what to say, and then going back and going, good lesson. Like, I've one of the things that I'm up against is I have a brain injury, and I don't like talking about it on stage. I don't want to be the brain injured comic. I won't go, I refuse to go on a show. Now, a mic and a show are very different. I'll go to a mic once in a rare moon when I don't get up till 12 at night, like last night, and my brain's done for the day. It's toast. I need those notes on the chair. I'll try not to look at them, but trust me, I'm probably going to need to look at them. But at a real show, those I won't. I don't care. I don't care if I get I don't care if I get Alzheimer's. If I'm still doing comedy, I'm not looking at notes on a show. I would rather stand up there with deer in the headlights and say, does anybody got any idea what I should talk about next? I will not be the brain injured comic. I won't. I'll make it funny. I will not refer to my brain injury. Once in a while, if I think I can say one thing in the middle of my set, like one time I said, yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I also forgot to tell you I have a brain injury. Yeah, I know. I got it from a drunk driver. So, hey, guys, enjoy those drinks. Get out there and drive home. If you get a brain injury, you want one just like mine. Because don't I look pretty normal? You don't even believe I have a brain. You want to get the upper right brain injury, because that's what I got. So what you do is you get in a 1977 old Cutlass and you go to Eugene, Oregon, and you go due west at the stoplight, and you wait for a car to come down the freeway without brakes, heading for a broadside, but kicks in his brakes at the last second and hits tail end of the car. Golf balls go everywhere, money in the street. Nobody cares about you. They're out looking for the money. I don't know why the money is in the car. It's not even my car. It's my boyfriend's. We break up because all he cared about was where's his money and his golf balls. That's the brain injury you want to get. And then you'll be just as good off as me.
So let's see, what else can we talk about? What else do we want everybody to know about you and your wonderful career?
How does Linda write her jokes?
Oh, yes, please do tell.
Okay, do tell. So I know you can't tell by looking at me, but I can't come up with a premise. In fact, when I try to say a premise, most people just want me to get off the premises, both of them. My premises suck, but I got punchlines. I mean, like, if you tell me something, I can come up with a punchline. I can take some crappy premise and put a punchline on it. But the premises suck. So I don't even try to come up with a joke based on a premise. I know Adam Dominguez, if you want to see somebody that is a premise person, Esther Forrester, these people, they think premises. They just can't shut it off. I don't. I'll just be sitting here and like there's a TV that says the first headlines. And I'm thinking, headlines. That would make a great punchline. What could that be? or streaming weekdays, like, and then I'll come up with a whole entire joke or a story where streaming weekdays is the punchline. And that's how I develop my comedy. I hear or I see a punchline and I'm like, oh my God, I got to write a joke about it. So there's this group on Facebook, can't remember the name of it. Imre, some guy named Imre does it every day. He throws out a word and you can write as many jokes in an hour based on one word. And that's been good because then he's giving the word. I'm not saying, oh, this would. So now I'm being challenged to take something that I don't think is funny and make it funny. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to make a premise. But I'm not there yet. I'm a baby comic. I'm only in 8.5 years. Give me a break.
You're fantastic.
Thanks. I'm not one to puff myself up, but you go ahead.
Well, I will, because I'm just blessed that you've taken me under your wings. You're showing me the ropes. You're introducing me to people, and really, I really greatly appreciate it. And I love your comedy, and I love to watch people watch you because you captivate the crowd, and you've got a great heart and a great personality. And I love you. I don't know what's wrong with your parents, but I love you.
I think they loved me. They just had a very rough life before I came along.
Yeah, they did. They do in their own ways. Yeah. But yeah. So what else? Do you have anything else to add that you want to add, or?
Well, I got some coming up that I want to mention is that January, I'm going to be doing a contest. And here's why. I don't what I can't stand is people not lifting each other up and people cutting each other down. So just so you know, that's the backdrop for just about everything I do. So I feel that I've traveled, I've seen comedy on both sides of the coast. There's famous comedians in California that New Yorkers don't know, and vice versa. Nor do they care to know them, nor do they care to book them. So what I'm doing in January is I'm inviting all kinds of California and all kinds of New York comics to have a contest. So the purpose of the contest is I'm going to have 3 judges judging the jokes. Everybody gets so much time to say something, and they get judged on certain things, not who you like and if they're my style comedy. It's like, was it delivered well? Did the audience get it? Did they laugh? How high was, on a scale of 1 to 10, did it get a 10 laugh or a 2 laugh? Did the laugh last 20 seconds or 3 seconds? There's going to be markers. And based on those markers, we're going to have winners. So let's say there's 50 comedians from the West and 50 from the East Coast. There's going to be points given out for each comic. And like in a track meet, the team that gets the most points wins. But the purpose is so West Coast people will get to know East Coast people and East Coast people and respect each other.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. What a great idea.
Thank you.
And fun.
Yeah, it's going to be free. There's going to be no charge. It's going to be on my Zoom. It's going to be probably, if I do 100 comics, it's going to be about, if I keep it to 3 minutes each, it'll be 4 hours, 4.5. If I let them do 5 minutes, which they'll probably push to do 5, then it's going to be like 8 hours. But I can do it,
So what's your favorite joke to tell? What is your most favorite one that you love out of all the ones you've done? Do you have one of those?
Yeah, I would. So I have, here's something for you to know. Every comic has a joke that barely works and they refuse to give it up. Every time I've interviewed somebody, they all have, oh my God, yes. It's like they almost do it like a sarcastic, Yeah, I just do that for me. I don't care if you like, I like the joke. And I have one of those. And then, but my favorite, like we have favorite jokes at this time in my life. My favorite joke right now in my life. Do you want me to say it?
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
So it's my first joke that I say. You know, like I got a bunch of I've got a bunch of opening jokes. I've got a bunch of jokes for different areas in my life, and I got a bunch of closing jokes. So my favorite opening joke right now is, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Linda Marcus Smith." Yeah, I know. 3 names. I know, right? Not because I'm a diva. Oh no. A diva? Psh, that's beneath me. Where I'm going with 3 names. Oh my gosh. I'm changing history with 3 names. Because back in time, people with 3 names were bad. Let's go through a few. John Wilkes Booth, killer. John Wayne Gacy, killer. Adolf fucking Hitler, hopeless overachiever that he was. Gosh, I'm part Jewish. And Hitler being on the bad list, that doesn't even bother me like Booth. Because if you think about it, it really makes me mad about Booth. Because he was an actor who got famous with one headshot. I know. It blows my mind too. That's what I'm saying. I just love it. I don't know why.
That's funny. That's funny. You're funny. You are so funny. Everybody needs to see you.
It's like, how long does this joke go? I don't know. I can add to it. You want me to add to it? You keep complaining. I'm going to make the joke longer. I wouldn't complain if I was you.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, it's been a wonderful journey that you've been on, and thank you for sharing it with us. And thank you for all your brilliant ideas to get the community, the comedy community together, like from the East and West Coast, and the women, and just, you know, that we need advocates like that, I think, in this business, because it is definitely a male dominated business. And us women are we can kick booty. We've got some great stories.
Yes.
I know all the women I've heard have been really good.
Julz and I are part of a very small group of women that's going to be growing, so you can join it if you identify as a woman, or if you're presently identifying as a woman and you continue to identify as a woman while you're in the group. This world. Anyway, it's a group for women. I think you get the point, where we build each other up and we help each other succeed. That's all we're going to say right now about it. Hit us up if you want to join it, because we're going places. We're going to make things happen. We're going to quit bitching and cutting each other down behind all this passive aggressive stuff. We're going to build each other up. It's no agenda. I'm not there to get you into Amway, and you're not in there to get me into a strip club. Okay, it's kind of late. So that's the deal. We're going to do that. We're going to make things happen for each other, Julz.
Yeah, and you are definitely a motivation for sure. So I know with your energy and connections and stuff, you will definitely succeed in bringing those things to the table and bringing light to it for sure. There's no doubt in my mind.
Thank you so much. Thanks for doing this for me. You've been a doll to do this.
Well, thank you for selecting me to do it. What an honor and a privilege, because I just have so much respect for you and what you've endured in your life and how you can bring it to the stage in a comical, in a comical sense. And like we were saying, people can probably relate. They probably had things too. And like, how we both got into comedy is like we went and watched one night and said, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. So, and you just throw your hat in the ring, and some nights you'll bomb and some nights you'll fly, right?
Yeah. Can I say one more joke that I love?
Say as much as you want. The stage is all yours.
I just want to say in closing, let me leave you with this. So this is another favorite joke. And this is not an opening joke, because people can't take it till you get later on in your set. So when I get near the end, I love saying, you know, because like in my teens, I shoplifted, So I say that I shoplifted. In my early 20s, I found out I was wanted. I wasn't wanted for shoplifting. So weird. And I found out I was wanted at the post office. Awkward. You're not supposed to find out you wanted at the post, but there I did. And so, it wasn't my picture on the wanted FBI poster. It was a poster from Army recruiting. It was Uncle Sam. Look at me. I'm a boomer. Do you think I was taught to say no to a man? And besides, if I couldn't say no to my grandpa, how am I going to say no to some fake uncle? So I was like, yes, sir. How fast can I join the Army, sir? I joined right away. People tried to warn me, Linda, you're so sensitive. The military? Whoa, wait a minute. What about all those rapes? I got to tell you, in 3 years, I didn't rape all that many men. Sure, those on shore leave and R&R, but you should have seen what they were wearing. They had it coming. I'm kidding. But yeah, they put me in Germany on a post. Me, one woman with 2,000 men. I'm bad at math. But I'm not that bad. I was like, it's a good thing I joined for 3 years because I had to figure out how many times a day are they going to keep trying to shove 2,000 into one. I love the joke. I can't even say the joke without laughing because it took me from 1976 till 2000. I don't know. I came up with this joke in the last year. It took me all those decades to find anything funny about it. And now I'm winning because I'm laughing about it.
Yes. Right on.
And that's what humor is all about. It heals us and it heals others.
And you got to learn to laugh at yourself, right? That's
and
a big
past.
And your past. Because a lot of it we just can't, we can't control it, but we can control how we react to it.
Yes. Look for the funny. There's funny in everything. Like the minute you go through something traumatic, I just want to say this to anybody if they're listening, and you, Julz, the minute let's say you go to the grocery store and there's a mass shooting, God forbid, or a robber comes up behind you, or somebody shoots someone in the park, you go through something traumatic. Make it your goal to see, and I say this with guard, make it your goal to see how fast you can come up with what's funny about it. Like you don't want to say, oh, you want to rob me? Oh, that reminds me of a joke. That might get your head blown off. But like within a week, within a few hours when you're debriefing at home by yourself, look for what's funny about the worst things that happen. The worse the problem that happens to you, the more there's possibility for nuggets of funny. Like it's easy to go outside and look at a bird that's hopping around from tree to tree and make a joke, but try to come up with something funny about Norma Fine at Washington Mutual Bank in 1988 that wants to not promote you because you're Jewish and don't practice Judaism. Okay, mazel tov with that one. But you can do it. You can make anything funny.
Yes, you can. So what is your one or words of advice, the most advice you could give to any one comedian that you would think would be either encouraging or just whatever?
Well, I've heard a lot of advice and I ask that of comedians all the time. My best advice is that there's two ways of handling comedy when you get into it. You can be attracted to it for the right reason, the wrong reason. Some guys get into comedy to find chicks. Some women get into comedy because they're, bored or sad or, whatever attracted you is your attraction to it. But at some point, a day, an hour, a month, 2 years, you realize, holy crap, there's a commitment. Nobody warned me. that all this fun means a lot of work. And that's where the rubber meets the road. That's when people will make skid marks in the parking lot and never return. When either their fear of success, it's not fear of failure. Some people are afraid, well, fear, they might be afraid they're going to fail at comedy, or they might be told that they're a star and they're afraid they'll succeed. And then what? But when you find out the commitment it's going to cause you to have to take, that's when you find out who the real people are. Because a lot of people, they get to that and they go, yeah, I tried it for a while. But that's because they were attracted and they didn't make it over the commitment. Over to commitment. So every day you have to decide, do I feel committed to it still? You know, it was good yesterday. Today, you know, it's a day, everything's daily, you know, you're not, nobody says you have to stay in it for every day of your life, but every day you're in it, be committed to it, for God's sakes.
Yeah, no matter what, even if they're heckling you.
Yeah, be committed to heckling back. Find a way to do it with a smile.
Yeah. Okay, so
All right. That's it.
Well, thank you, my dear, for your input, your sharing your life story and your journey in comedy. And we know you're already successful. You're just going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger.
Thank you so much, Julz, for
welcome.
taking time out of your day to ask me all kinds of questions. I so appreciate it.
Well, and thank you for doing that for all of us too. It's nice to have, you know, a group of people that are supporting each other, and that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for opening those doors for us too.
Thank you, Julz. And welcome to the comedy world. You're going to do very well.
Oh, it's been a hoot for sure.
Everybody that meets you loves you. So.
Oh, well, thank you. So you all have a blessed day.
Yes.
And thank you again.
Thank you again. Bye, Julz. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye.
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 Bye.